Hey, everybody, welcome to Crackpot, the podcast where each and every week we dive into a different conspiracy theory and we also discuss the merits or the demerits of each. We are your hosts. I'm Tim.
And I'm Zach. What was that even?
You do it like 300 times, man. You got to come up with new phrasing, new intonation.
Yeah.
Got to make sure people don't hit that fast forward 30-second button, you know?
That's right. We're banking on them not doing that.
Right. And by the way, if you're listening to this on the ad version of our feed, we apologize. The ads are very loud.
Oh my gosh. I can't do anything about them.
We literally can't do anything about it.
There's like a radio button that I just click and it's like ads inserted and that's it.
So just make sure you buy the product that they're selling.
Yes.
And then turn the volume down.
Yeah, sorry about that. We can't do anything. You can whine about it in the reviews all you want, but I can't do anything about it. Sorry.
So sorry about that, folks.
Yeah.
Take it up with
Libsyn.
Yeah, take it up with Libsyn.
Our generous host.
Are they generous? They're fine.
Anyways.
They're good. What's new, man?
Well, I don't know if you noticed that I look like a baseball umpire today.
You kind of do. You going to umpire some baseball later?
No, so I was devastated because I got this shirt and I kind of liked it. And then I don't know, going shopping with my son or something. He goes, Dad, you look like a baseball umpire. I was wearing like dark blue shorts and a hat. And I was like, I do.
I actually do.
So if you want to know what a baseball ump looks like,
tune in.
Go to our YouTube channel. Check it out. We got a channel.
We got a channel.
And other stuff
all
too.
Sorts of cool things, man. Everything that comes with the channel, we got it.
Website with merch, Patreon feed. The website I got to update, but it's still happening. So actually, it was funny. I was talking to my dad. My parents don't listen to the show, and I was like, every once in a while, I'm like, hey, check this show out, and they never do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was like, oh, check out the Boeing one because it's kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Or we have a family friend who's a pilot. And then out of the blue, like the next week, my dad's like, "Oh, I went to your website, but it wasn't on there."
Oh my God.
And I'm like, it's like the way that nobody listens to the show is on the website. It's like go to YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, whatever. You
literally go anywhere.
Yeah,
just not the website.
Yeah, so I don't know what we got to do about that. But
thanks,
anyways.
Boomer.
Yeah, I know, right?
I turned on the radio. You guys weren't on.
Yeah, right.
What time does this come out?
Which AM station are you on? Anyways.
Oh man, couple weeks back we put out a call for listener suggestions.
That's right.
Of shows, topics, things, because we do a lot of these. We've done a lot of these.
Yes, we have.
And there's no shortage, and we're not running out of ideas, trust me. But we just need to know, like, hey, do you guys like this? Do you like that? Do you want to hear more of those? Like, I don't know, tell us.
Yeah.
So the people talked, Zach, and we listened.
That's right.
As we do. So this is a listener suggestion. It comes to us from a wonderful listener on the Discord channel.
Oh, check it out.
Yeah, check out the Discord channel. It's a lot of fun. If you can't get there, shoot us a message. I'll get you a link. Anyway, this is about a mystery, a conspiracy, mystery.
A conspiracy of sorts.
Called Mel's Hole.
Okay.
The Hole of Mel.
Okay.
What do you know?
I'm afraid I'll have to plead the fifth.
Yeah.
No, I don't know anything.
Besides just being a funny name, you got no comments?
Well, that's why I can't really go too far.
You can't riff off it?
Yeah, but here's what I'll say. I think I've heard like about this, like the title sounds familiar, but beyond that, I really couldn't say a thing.
All right. Did you ever listen to Art Bell?
Yeah, a handful of times. Just like recordings of Coast
I know.
to Coast.
I never caught it live, unfortunately. Little before my time, and also I wasn't up at like 1 a.m. listening to AM radio.
Exactly.
So, but Art Bell, the patron saint of Crackpot Podcasts and Globex Industries, I believe, had a listener on in 1997. So Art Bell, if you're not familiar, just kind of a... Well, like I said, AM DJ, and he would just open up the phone lines and let people call in and talk about weird, strange stuff, conspiracies, paranormal, vampires, shape-shifting reptiles, moon bases, you name it. He talked about it. And this was a kind of interesting call that he got. Not too far out there, at least on surface level.
Okay.
As we start getting into it, it gets a little wild, but He had him on in February of 97, and then back by popular demand had him on April of 2000, and again a third time in January of 2002. So 3-time listener Mel Waters called in from the great state of Washington.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Are you really do know about this?
Now I know about this much.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'll keep going.
Geography. Yeah,
Okay.
It's all coming back.
So called in for the great state of Washington. He said that 9 miles west of Ellensburg, Washington, in Ketita County, which is where he lived, he said on his property there was a hole in the ground. 9-foot diameter hole, and he and his neighbors, they just used it as a garbage dump. They would just throw their old appliances in it.
Oh my God.
They would throw their trash in it. They would just, whatever's a big hole, get rid of your stuff. Who cares? Who am I to say whether that was right or wrong? That is what they did. But one day he got to thinking, he's like, hey, we've been dumping stuff in this hole for years. Maybe even decades. Why hasn't this hole filled up? What gives?
Okay.
How deep is this hole? Zach, it might be a bottomless pit. A pit without bottom.
Whew. Might be.
Might be.
Probably is.
Well, Mr. Mel Waters decided to conduct a few experiments here to see if he could find the bottom of this hole.
Yeah.
He dropped, get this, 80,000 feet of fishing line
No way.
and still could not find the bottom.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right.
So what my mind thought of immediately was, okay, clearly it's deep, right? Can't see the bottom. That much, we're not going to debate. What if he's dropping in this line? It's got like a weight on the bottom of it, of course, right? Mm-hmm. So he's reeling this in. What if the bottom just like hits some water? Maybe there's an underground stream or something, right? And it just keeps going. And he's like, I can't find the bottom. But really, it's only like, 600 feet deep or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is maybe there's something that's... Yeah, so like it's following an underwater stream. So it feels like it's just going down.
It's like, it's not getting taut or something. So anyway, he had the same thought. So what did he do? He did the experiment again, but he tied the bottom with lifesavers, the wonderful hard candy, so that if it did hit the water, it would dissolve, right?
Makes sense.
So reeled out 80,000 feet of fishing line. By the way, folks, that is 24,000 meters or 15 miles of fishing line with the lifesavers tied to the end, reeled it back up. They were intact. Never found the bottom.
That's actually pretty weird.
What gives?
Huh. Honestly, at this point, I can't think of what it would be because it's like a few very, logical explanations now have been eliminated, let's say.
Okay, yep.
So I'm kind of stuck scratching my head.
Literally scratching your head. So that's weird and bizarre. So Art Bell, of course, says, well, can you tell us where this is? Like, specifically, so we can invest? He's like, no. I don't want people traipsing around my property. And it's like, okay, I respect
fishy,
that
but
to a degree. But given the coordinates, given that the people knew this was 9 miles west of Ellensburg, and it was in Ketita County, and it's also on top of the Manitash Ridge, he mentioned at one point. People started doing some sleuthing, some internet searching using satellite images and so on and so forth. There are a couple of areas with some suspiciously blocked out pixels. So if you try to, it's like, if you've ever gone to Google Maps on Area 51 or some, different Air Force bases or stuff, that they have that censored out. It appears to be the same sort of situation up there in Washington.
Okay.
Kind of weird, huh?
Well, it gives away the location for one.
Yeah, right. It kind of does.
Which is interesting. But also, I guess See, to me, it's a little fishy that he didn't want. I guess he wouldn't say it on the air, like, "Oh, I live at 123 Main Street." But you'd think he'd say, "Hey, Art, send a team of researchers to come investigate with us."
Yeah. I guess I should mention the only other thing we know about this, besides being 9 feet in diameter, or about 3 meters, of course, there's a 3-foot stone wall around it. So just kind of like people have placed rocks around there at some point so that you don't accidentally, wander through a dark field in the middle of the night and fall into a bottomless pit in the middle of nowhere.
Makes you wonder if people have.
I know. Well, I don't know if any people have, but we have a case, Zach. He mentioned a dog. Now, not a live dog. This was a dead dog.
Oh.
So I don't know the logic behind this. I am merely a messenger, so don't shoot me. But one of his neighbor's dog passed away, and rather than taking the dog to the vet or the crematorium or burying it on his property, he decided, well, where do we throw stuff when we don't want it anymore? We throw it over an old Mel Waters hole over there. So he took his dead dog and tossed him in the hole. Okay.
It's all right.
The next day, a dog that looked identical with the same collar on it was seen running around the woods nearby.
I like this.
What the heck is going on?
So much. Okay. Well, same dog, obviously.
Well, the dog did not respond to its name and ran off when people tried to approach it. But
it was being defiant.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, the neighbor was like, no, I know my dog.
Sure.
That was my dog.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, you don't like mix that up.
No. Impossible.
That's crazy.
Uh-huh. So that's weird. Which got me thinking, Zach, it's a pretty deep hole, right? 15 miles or more.
Like, I'm already wondering, like, the Earth's crust, how, like, thick is that, all that stuff. But anyways,
Yeah. So what are some of the deepest places on Earth? What are some of the largest holes and trenches and whatever? Well, we got the Mariana Trench. So that is 36,000 feet below sea level, not 80. So this would be lower than the Mariana Trench.
Wait a second. The numbers are confusing me.
Okay. So the Mariana Trench is 36,000 feet below sea level.
Yeah.
Mel's Hole, he dropped 80,000 feet of fishing line without finding the bottom.
Right. So 80,000. All right. Well, but you also have the distance from the top of the trench to the surface of the water.
Also true, but I'm going to assume that it's probably deeper.
Yeah. Dang.
By a factor of at least 2. Now, the deepest cave, so that's underwater, doesn't really line up the same,
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, a little different. So the deepest cave on Earth is 7,257 feet.
Oh, that's like nothing.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing compared to Mel's Hole. The deepest mine shaft, however, 12,672 feet.
Okay.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Kind of.
5 digits at least. But again, 12,000 versus 80,000, it's like scratching the surface. It's like nothing. Now that is not the deepest man-made hole on Earth. The deepest man-made hole on Earth is in Russia. They drilled a borehole 40,230 feet deep.
Dang.
I assume just because they could. I mean, I would if I had.
Let's do it.
40,000 feet of drill bits to drop below the surface. But anyway, that is officially the deepest anything on Earth, and still, that's only halfway.
Dang. Okay.
What the heck? So Mel's Hole, if you believe him, would be 1/4 of the way through Earth's crust. So crust.
Okay.
So even though it's 15 miles deep, you'd still have to go another 45 miles to get to the magma.
Which is still, nothing to sneeze at.
No. And we're assuming that it actually ends at 80,000.
It may not.
It may not. It may go.
Clearly not, actually.
81,000.
Exactly.
Maybe 82,000.
Yeah. $1.
What the heck, man? So So they got a hold of the State Department of Natural Resources, and they said,
Yeah.
is this a thing? Is this possible? What gives? And the State Department of Natural Resources says, look, that hole does not exist. It is geologically impossible. The hole, this is a quote, the hole would collapse into itself under the tremendous pressure and heat. Also, the heat would have snapped the fishing line long before it got that deep.
Which kind of makes sense to me in my
I
head.
agree, yeah.
I think I have to be honest, I'm a little suspicious of the numbers that Mel ran.
I know, right?
A little bit, yeah.
But then again, why would he lie? Why would he lie to Art Bell, Zach?
And by the way, I'm not suggesting he's lying. I'm just suggesting he's not a numbers guy kind of a thing. So it's like,
I did some math here. So 80,000 feet of fishing line. Now, you can buy reels of line in different lengths, of course. But the average, give or take, length of fishing line is 100 feet. 100 yards.
100 yards.
100 yards
okay.
long. Right. So you can get longer or shorter.
So it's like 3,000 feet basically per thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, 300.
300. That's what I said.
Right. Speaking of numbers, guys.
I'm just the CFO.
Right. So if he was, true to his word and he actually did this experiment,
Yeah.
right? So he would have used 266 reels of fishing line and dropped them in. If each of those reels weighed approximately 0.08 kilograms and the line was probably going to hold like 40 pound, like a 40-pound weight,
Yeah.
it may have snapped under its own weight at some point. It's like right on the edge.
Okay.
Assuming that, this is 100-yard long fishing line and assuming that it's like 40-pound weight, assuming a lot of things I don't have the details of. But fishing line might have snapped due to the heat because the further you go down, the hotter it gets.
I wonder how hot it gets down there. Like, just out of curiosity, like, oh, you go a mile down, it goes up 1 degree or goes down a degree Fahrenheit or whatever. Like, I'd be just very curious to know what those numbers are, but probably outside the scope of what you researched.
Couldn't tell you, unfortunately.
Yeah. The other thing, too, sorry to go back to the point about the weight, is like, I assume if the weight came off, he would know.
Oh, yeah.
So then it's like, clearly it didn't come off.
Exactly.
Okay, anyways.
So, yeah, when he pulled it back up, the weight was on the bottom, was still attached to the line. So Mel knew about this. Mel was talking about this, it's so on and so forth. And after his call with Art Bell, we learned this on subsequent calls back in 2000, 2002, he left for the day or whatever it was and drove back to his house or his ranch or whatever it is, wherever it is he lives on Manatash Ridge. And he found that the Army was blocking him from entering his own property.
That's weird.
And he's like, what gives? Hey, I live here. Let me in.
Yeah.
And they said, no, there's been a plane crash. You can't come in. And he's like, come on. There's no plane crash. I've been in the area all day. I didn't see a plane crash. And then there's like people walking around behind this guy wearing like biohazard suits. And he's like, oh no. They found the hole.
Yeah, it's like the end of ET, kind of.
Yeah, right. Ooh. So the Army was reached for comment, and the Army said, no plane crash. There's no hole. It was probably just a training exercise that he saw. We don't have any details about this specific event, but that nothing in our records points to we can't corroborate his story.
Sure. They could be lying.
They could no.
Sounds like a military cover-up.
It's interesting. So basically, he was the government took his land, took his property with the hole, of course.
Yeah.
And paid for him to relocate, and he chose to go to Australia, which is what one does when you suddenly get a windfall of money and you want to get out of Dodge, I guess.
Crazy.
So old Mel Waters relocated to Australia, Zach. And that's the end of that story. Or is it? It's not. We got a hold of another guy that lives in the area. This gentleman goes by Gerald Osborne, a.k.a. Red Elk. He is a self-described intertribal medicine man of the native people that live in the area.
Okay.
You want to know what he says?
Tell me.
Red Elk claims to have visited this hole many, many, many times since 1961 when his father first showed it to him. And he said that the native people have always known about this. Mm-hmm. And they don't call it a hole. They don't call it Mel's Hole for sure. They refer to it as a portal to another dimension.
Now we are talking.
Yeah.
That I could believe.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the whole, like, we kind of joke about this a little bit, but, like, interdimensional portal stuff
Yup.
actually seems to be maybe real.
Tune into Skinwalker this week. Find out.
Seriously.
Love that show.
Me too. So, I don't know. Like, I tend to side as a card-carrying member of a Native American reservation. I tend to side with the natives on some of the lore because oftentimes where there's smoke, there's fire. So I could believe it.
So, yeah, they're saying it's a portal to another dimension. They call it Devil's Hole.
Man.
Or Devil's Portal.
Stay away from those every time.
Devil's Den, Devil's Tower. No, man, just don't go there.
Yeah, dude.
Don't go there. Red Elk also claims that the U.S. government now has a small underground top secret base just near the hole to monitor alien activity. And if that wasn't enough, Zach, he has seen spacecraft hover over the hole on multiple occasions on the summer solstice.
The summer solstice sounds like a little, window dressing, if you will. But I'm telling you, and I got to find this to do this like on a proper like show. There are like craft that have been filmed like entering caves and stuff. Like,
yes.
It's weird.
Not caves, but like sides of mountains.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could believe it.
This may be tongue in cheek, but we're also like, oh, maybe.
Yeah. As weird as it sounds.
So, yeah, maybe the U.S. government, the Army, the military has an underground base there to monitor alien activity over the hole.
I could see that. I could see them like maybe setting up shop to do some scientific experiments.
You got to do the scientific experiments.
Even if it's just like run-of-the-mill, geological surveys.
Yes, exactly.
But if it's not that, then it's definitely to observe craft.
Drop 81,000 feet of fishing line into the hole.
Yeah.
See what comes out. 2 packs of lifesavers. So the animals in the area have very interesting reactions to this hole, as you might imagine. 2 specific instances. We know that birds will not fly over it and will not land near it, which I find highly suspicious. And dogs will not go within 100 feet of this thing.
Okay, they know something we
They
don't.
know. I don't know if it's like a high pitched noise.
Oh, sure.
Or maybe it's a smell.
With a bird, just thinking logically here.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a current, an air current overhead.
Yeah,
that could
okay, sure.
keep them away. But the dog, ooh,
That's weird.
That's weird.
When animals avoid something, again, stay away.
Yeah, what do they know that we don't?
Too much, I would say. Okay, so let's talk about some of the other general strangeness that goes on in and around this hole. Because Mel, like I mentioned, he called into Coast to Coast 3 times with different stories and whatnot. May come as no surprise, if you yell into this hole, you do not get an echo back. Clearly, if there was a bottom, you would hear an echo. It would bounce off and come back.
Yeah, I almost think it would reverberate against the sides or something, but apparently not.
Nothing, man.
Okay.
No echo. He said that he has seen this hole emitting a beam of black light. What is that? If you say he saw a beam of light, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah.
Black light? Like, what even is black light?
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it's like, your college dorm room black lights.
Like that thing? Yeah,
or if it's
right.
like, a light that is just dark. I don't know.
He described it as a light that was dark. As stupid as that sounds to say out loud, yes. That's weird.
That is.
That would freak me out. Is it just like more dark? Do you see it in the middle of the night? It's like even more pitch black, or like in the middle of the day?
That's what I'm thinking.
Is everything light except the darkness coming out of the devil's hole?
Like a shadow, if you will, being projected
Maybe
upwards.
it's sucking in the light.
It could be that too.
Dang. Get this. Metals change properties as you get close to the hole.
Is that real?
Well, they are saying that metals change into other metals.
Okay. So like basically alchemy.
Alchemy. Straight up alchemy.
Wow.
You take lead, it turns into gold. You take copper, it turns into tin. That would be something.
Well, it's weird that it's like, in the proximity of the hole.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to go into the hole.
Doesn't even have to go in. Just nearby the hole.
All right. I would like to see the raw data on this.
Come on. Okay, how about this one? If you don't believe in metals changing into different metals, I don't know why he got this idea, but this is a wonderful idea. He wanted to lower a bucket of ice into it.
Very good idea.
I guess. Well, he lowered a bucket of ice 1,500 feet into the hole, pulled it back out. You want to know what he found?
More frozen?
It was hot.
No.
The ice was hot and said to be flammable.
I don't even know how that works.
Man, I am not here to explain how it works. I am merely a messenger. Metals turning into new metals. Ice coming out flammable. What? Where's your believability at? Let's just check in here real quick. Because I know you're at 100 earlier, and then you went to 110.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it maybe dip down to 95.
Not even that low.
Okay.
Couple of things, instant red flags to me, okay?
Yeah.
First of all, he dips out, goes to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Zero accountability.
Uh-huh.
So that's a little weird. The metals changing properties or turning into other metals or whatever, like, I just don't know how logistically that would work.
Sure. Find fault with that one. Okay, yeah.
Well, what I'd be curious to know is, like, are there other situations, hotbeds on planet Earth where this kind of thing happens or has been seen to happen?
Well, Mel was told that there's another hole in Nevada with similar properties that the military is monitoring as well. So maybe.
Okay. I can't rule it out.
Okay. Now, this might be the strangest and weirdest one yet. Oh, wait. Hold that thought. I have one less strange. That's also awesome. He wanted to play a radio near it to see what would, again, the experiments. I love this guy.
Yeah.
It's great. So he takes a radio near the hole, and all of a sudden he loses the station that he's listening to, and he starts to hear strange, unknown voices coming from the radio and music and programs from the past.
This I like.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, there's a part of me that says radios, historically, famously, can pick up other radio signals. So, like, you're driving across town, the radio signal cuts out, you hear something else.
Yep.
Could be that, but I doubt it. Could be alien radio.
That's what I'm saying. Yep.
Huh. I wonder how that works.
I don't know. Old songs and programs.
Yeah.
I wonder how old. Like, was it, Duke Ellington, or was it Chubby Checkers, or was it Zeppelin? Like, what are we talking here?
Yeah, because it's like if they're hearing stuff from the past, it's like, oh, today is July 4th, 1931.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, that leads more to the portal theory rather than just a bottomless hole or pit or something. So, I don't know. Okay, back to the wackiest story of them all. If ice and metal and a radio and echoes weren't enough, Mel and his friends decided that they wanted to lower a sheep into
like
the
in
hole.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. That is exactly it. So they tied a sheep up, I assume with fishing line, 'cause that's all they had. Lowered that sucker 1,500 feet.
What?
Into the hole.
Dang.
the whole way down, the sheep is just shrieking and yelling and screaming, as a sheep would do if you lowered it into a bottomless pit. But then it went silent, and they pulled it back out. And do you know what they found?
It's got to be just like the T-Rex situation in Jurassic Park.
It was dead.
Uh-huh.
It came out cooked, and it had a weird, strange lump on one side of its body. And then they looked closer at the lump, and it started moving. They're like, whoa, that's weird. So they got out their knife, cut open the lump. You know what they found inside? I could give you 10 million guesses, literally. And you would never guess what they found inside. Because when they cut into this cooked sheep on the side of it, they found a fetal seal with human eyes. Let me say that again in case you misheard me. They found a seal that was in its fetal stages of development that had human eyes. It doesn't end there, Zach. Because this seal looked at them and then jumped out of the
Carcass?
Yeah. Sheep carcass,
Yeah.
back into the hole.
Oh, my God.
And then 2 days later, the farmer saw a seal in amongst its sheep that's, he said, quote, it appeared to have a benevolent presence.
Wow.
Now, I'm just going to stop here. And I just want to say, Zach, we've talked about some weird stuff on this show. And I'm not even going to say this is the weirdest, because who even knows if this cracks the top 10. But if you were to make up a story, like, where do you come up with a fetal seal with human eyes?
Yeah.
That jumps back in and then has a benevolent presence? How do you even, like, that is so off the wall bonkers that I almost have to kind of sort of believe it.
It's so specific.
Yes.
So at this point, I'm still all in. I don't even know what to say about that. I'm picturing like a really cute seal with human eyes. Did they say whatever happened to that thing?
No, it just wandered around grazing with the sheep, I assume,
Jeez.
and had a nice benevolent presence. So this story, obviously, you know, it got legs, and people talk about it, and there's subreddits devoted to it, and different, you know, podcast episodes. I'm sure we're not the first and won't be the last that have talked about this, but some artists in the area in Washington, like, just, they loved this, and they thought it was endlessly fascinating, and they decided to just kind of do an artist collective show, and everyone had to like create a work of art that corresponded to this story of Mel's Hole. And I was looking at some of this stuff, and someone painted a beautiful picture of a fetal seal with eyes. So if you want to know what it looked like, at least according to one artist's rendition, you can find that out there. But what the heck even is this, man? Okay, so you had mentioned that you don't like the fact that Mel kind of dipped out and was never seen again, more or less. You know, took his government money and went and lived in Australia because the weird stuff here wasn't weird enough for him, I think.
Yeah.
Well, he decided that he wanted to come back one day. So he, you know, booked a freighter across the Pacific or something and hopped on a train. I don't know what he was doing. But anyway, got to Washington. He was on a bus, and he was headed back into town. And the bus was stopped by government vehicles. Some men got on. You can picture the type, you know, the dark suits and glasses and
Men
so
in
on,
black,
you know,
yeah.
obviously. And they took him off the bus, let the bus go on. He said that was the last thing he remembered. He woke up on the streets of San Francisco with IV marks in his arms, bruises on his body, and teeth missing, and no memory of anything that happened in between.
Suspicious.
Suspicious, man. So if you were Mel, would you want to go back? I don't think so.
No, wow, they sent a message.
Yes, they did.
Dang. I'm a little torn. Some credibility issues here with
Oh,
Mel.
come on. Where? I don't even. What? What's the credibility issues?
Do you want to go back to the top of your notes?
Okay, wait, let's see.
Yeah.
Coast to Coast, Art Bell. Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, I'm still intrigued by this concept that there's a hole out there that goes far, deeper than
anything in the world
observed. Yeah,
except maybe in Nevada.
I could actually believe that.
Yeah,
and I could believe that maybe there are some like legitimate experiments happening, in the area related to it. Simply like academic curiosity.
Sure.
The seal thing got a little weird. But I could believe it.
Okay. Metals turning into different metals?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely weird.
The radio picking up different stations?
That one I could straight up believe.
I love that.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't say it's like, radio stations from the past, but like maybe there's a disturbance or maybe, it's a giant, somehow like this doesn't make
electromagnetic
something. Yeah, it's bending the radio frequencies. I don't know.
Right. So who is this Mel guy? Who is Mel Waters?
That's what I want to know.
That's what I want to know. That's what every news organization in Kittitas County, Washington is trying to figure out as well. Well, they did some searching, Zach, and there are no records of anyone by that name ever living or owning property in that county or in that general area.
Could have been something he inherited. Maybe he was renting.
Maybe it's a pseudonym.
Right. Anagram.
Right. Maybe if you have a giant, bottomless pit hole with UFOs hovering over it and fetal seals jumping out, you don't give your real name when you call Art Bell.
That's a good point, actually. I don't think I'd use my name to call Art Bell's program anyways. I don't even use it on the show. It's my own show. There we go.
Exactly, man. The news reporters also went on to say that there's no evidence that the hole exists or ever existed. It's not on any satellite imagery. And in 2002, a bunch of people on the internet decided to get together and go meet out there and like traipse around the countryside and look for this thing. And, well, they couldn't find it either. So I don't know, man. Maybe it's not real.
This does get me thinking, though, about another show that we've done.
Yeah.
And this could potentially explain a few things. Okay, we're talking Pacific Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
Think about a show where a certain somebody disappeared in the Pacific Northwest after essentially a bank heist. See where I'm going with this?
Okay, so do you think D.B. Cooper is hiding at the bottom of the hole?
Look, I don't want to get sued for slander.
For slandering
So this
D.B.
would be...
Cooper. What if Mel Waters is D.B. Cooper and he hid the money in the hole?
See how I led you to that?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, but he can't get at it anymore.
It's lost for good.
That would be a bummer, though, if you're like, oh, sweet, a perfect hiding spot for whatever,
place.
My money.
I'll just drop it down there.
Yeah, I'll go back and get it later, and then you can't get
Hello?
Yeah.
No echo.
That's weird.
What?
Huh.
Okay, what about this? Pacific Northwest. What
Yeah.
if this is where the Sasquatch live?
Yeah. Just, yeah,
Yeah,
straight
just,
up.
yeah. No further comment.
Uh-huh.
Just, yes, I'm with you.
Okay. Part of me was thinking like, all right, they got volcanoes up there. Maybe it's a lava tube.
Okay. Do they have volcanoes up?
Mount
St. Helens.
Yeah,
okay, fair enough.
At least one that I know of.
At least one 42 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah, they're on the Ring of Fire,
that's true.
as I learned from a 1992 IMAX video.
Oh, look at you.
That was awesome. I still remember that.
Well done.
Anyway, so yeah, the baby seal thing.
It's weird.
Yeah,
Super weird.
a literal seal in sheep's clothing. So I'm having a hard time believing that. But
Okay, what if you fall in the hole, your feet are severed and end up in the Salish Sea?
Okay, I think we just jumped the shark.
Okay, that was a step too far.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
well,
Not the baby seal thing, but definitely
not
the
alchemy,
severed
not
feet.
straight up alchemy.
Yeah, yeah. That one.
It's severed feet. No,
Yeah.
no, clearly not. Yeah. So, thank you, dear listener, on the Crackpot Discord. That was a trip.
This is one that we had to look into because it's like this is actually very,
I never heard of it, and I was like, yes, please.
very entertaining. Huh. Well, it's still out there technically.
Yeah. Next live show
Pacific Northwest.
from the bottom of the pit.
Let's do it.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. If this is your first time listening to us or your 10,000th last time listening to us,
We thank you.
we thank you. And also, please go over and rate and review and subscribe. Oh, so also, we have I was trying to say we have a Patreon before you so rudely interrupted me.
Patreon.com/crackpotpodcast. $357 a month gets you access to ad-free content, plus a weekly bonus show and other cool stuff.
Indeed. What was I saying? Rate, review, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your local...
Spelunker?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. About our podcast. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.